Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Library Talk and everything else. I'm your host, DJ JC. Today is Thursday, October 30th, and normally I do the show live in the Bronto studios, but today I'm really excited because I have an opportunity to be in the Edinburgh studios because I have a guest that I've been looking forward to talking to for a while, and we'll talk about that as we begin the show. But Mr. Richard Kittles, good morning, Richard, for being here with us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited that you're here, and it's perfectly fitting because we have you here the day before Halloween, and I'll talk about how this show came to be and this episode came to be. But thank you so much, honestly, to you and to everybody that is listening. If you're a first-time listener, thank you so very much for finding the show, for tuning in. Hopefully you like the content. Hopefully you support this show as well as the other shows that are wonderfully produced by UTRGV's Vaquero Radio. I do want to thank Ariana and her staff for doing such a wonderful job every week in helping us set up. So thank you to her, to her staff, and thank you to all the other listeners that are longtime listeners that have been here from the very beginning. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be part of your Thursday morning. So the reason I have Richard here is because we discovered in a meeting several months ago, right, Richard?
Yeah, back in I want to say May.
And we said, hey, you know what? I want you to come on my show to talk about horror, to talk about scary movies, which I learned that he is a big fan of. So that is what we're going to do today. It is a research-based show where we look at a research question, we answer it utilizing tools from the UTRGV library, from the internet. I have a couple of lists that I want to share with you. And one of the great things is that everything we talk about, again, can be referenced. You can go back and just continue the research if we don't get to answer the research question. So I'm really excited about today's episode. Really excited about the end of this week, which will be Halloween tomorrow. So it is such a great opportunity to have Richard in the studio today and all of you. And again, allowing us to be part of your Thursday morning. So we're going to start with an artist that you cannot get away from during this season, during the Halloween season. And that is Michael Jackson. And right, Richard, it is not Halloween without Michael Jackson's Thriller. So we're going to go to a music break, and we're so excited to have this be part of our I was going to say Thanksgiving. That's in a couple of weeks, right? I guess I'm getting a little too excited ahead of myself. But pre-Halloween show. So thank you so much again. You're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Good morning, everybody. Thank you again for joining us in Library Talk and everything else. I'm your host, DJ JC, and I have a special guest in the studio today, Mr. Richard Quiroz. Good morning, Richard, again.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and so I gave you a brief kind of introduction of who you were, but I want to know more about who you are and the important role that you play within the university community. So please, I know we're both colleagues within the library, but I would love for our audience to know more about who you are, how you ended up at the library, and what you do to support and advance research within the university.
For sure. Let me start with a little bit of background. I started here back in July of 2024, so I guess kind of like newish a little bit. Before that, I did a few internships, like library related, and then my last one was with the Office of Copyright Library of Congress. And as soon as that finished, I was looking for positions and saw that there was one for digital scholarship librarian at UTRGV. I threw my head in it, and everything went pretty well. And now I'm here. My role is to help researchers and students and faculty here at UTRGV and connect them with resources, whether that might be databases or helping with looking up like data management software and many more. So it's been pretty interesting and engaging with the faculty. And I enjoyed it a lot too. Come back from like a archival studies background. I graduated back in December 2023, and I've been learning a lot these past couple of years.
That's awesome. Thank you so much again for sharing that. And thank you for joining the library. You are such an integral part of what we do here. And that's going to kind of segue into what I wanted to mention, that as we go through the semester, and we're already in November this Saturday, and I mentioned Thanksgiving, and maybe that was a bit of a Freudian slip there that I mentioned Thanksgiving because we are going into November. And then by that time, Christmas and the semester is going to end pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, it's flying by. Someone told me we got like 6 more weeks left of the semester, and it's going by so fast. I actually got Christmas and Thanksgiving mixed up. I was like, oh yeah, I was telling my folks, yeah, I'll be there for Christmas, and they're like, Christmas? We got Thanksgiving first, and I was like, oh, you know what I meant.
That happens a lot. We tend to just overlook Thanksgiving because we are so focused on Christmas, but I love Thanksgiving. And I know that's not what we're going to talk about. Maybe you can come back another time to talk about holidays. But what we want to talk about today is that you and I met about, maybe we had a meeting, you and I, in about May or early June, right?
Yeah, late May, early June, and it was I had reached out to you and several others about a podcast.
A podcast, that's right.
I created, and then I wanted feedback and see, hey, is this good? What to consider? Is it like ready to be published and used for students and faculty?
Yes, I remember that. So, having an interest in radio and podcasting, I contacted you. Then we started having a conversation, and then through the course of that conversation, we discovered that we both have an interest in horror movies, but your interest and your knowledge of horror movies is much more extensive. And I'm like, I need to have him on my show on October 30th. So we set this up maybe early June, and it finally is here.
Yeah, it's been in the works for almost half a year. Yeah.
And I know I told you I'll contact you later. And I think I contacted you Monday or Tuesday telling you, hey, we're still on for the show, right?
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday. And I think it was before that a little bit, like late August, early September. Like, hey, reminder.
Yeah, just we touched base, and now here we are, the day before the end of October, and so it's going by really quickly. And honestly, thank you so much to you for being here, and to you, the listener, as well, and for allowing us, as I mentioned every Thursday, being a part of your morning. And we do the show live, and if you are interested in the content and you want to know more about what this show is about, as well as some of the other shows, please go to our UTRGV YouTube Vaquero radio show channel, and you can find a list of previous episodes of this show, as well as some of the other ones that are wonderfully produced here at UTRGV. So, as I mentioned before the break, we do have a research question, and today's research question is going to be, what motivates individuals to watch horror movies despite the fear and anxiety that they may cause? So, I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite scary movie of possibly all time, the one that you can watch anytime and catch it from wherever it's on?
I was thinking about this too a couple of weeks ago, and this past week as well. And I was like, "Oh man, that's a tough question," because it's like, "Hey, what's your favorite book?
Exactly,
or what's your
that's
favorite
true.
genre?" But I want to say, I do have like a top like 3 or 5. But I think
Yeah,
one
sure, yes.
one I could always return to, and I remember watching this for the first time, actually back in before like pre-COVID, like 2019, 2018. But it's The Thing from 1982. So
I've never seen that one. That's with Kurt Russell, right?
yeah, Kurt Russell.
I've never seen that.
Directed by John Carpenter,
Uh-huh.
and that one, the first time I watched it, it scared the heck out of me, and it was just like, because it starts off, I won't give too way much of the plot, but it starts off with like not everything is as it seems.
Okay.
But it's basically this army research group in the Antarctic.
Okay.
And they're there, right? And then this involves an alien, and then it's like a lot of paranoia and
Okay.
mistrust is happening between one another. So almost like a cabin fever a little bit.
Okay.
But the effects on that movie are pretty good.
For 1982.
1980, they still hold up. It's really great. So
Because that's pre-CGI, pre-CGI. I mean, you're talking effects that, are practical. Is that correct?
yeah, practical, and also a lot of like use of makeup, but like a lot of I'm not going to be saying this right, but like fast forward footage, like time
Oh,
lapse,
okay.
lapse.
Okay.
But no, it's a good movie, and I think what I like about it is that you have these group of characters that are sort of isolated from the rest of like civilization, And then there's like this like the antagonist or the monster really, that's like going after them one by one, and then that's where like okay, you got mistrust like building up between them. But I like it a lot, and the director for that, John Carpenter, was the one who also directed Halloween.
Oh, okay.
And that movie, The Thing, was there. It was actually a remake from one from like I want to say 1951, 1952.
Okay.
And
It sounds like the title of a B movie that would have happened back in the 50s.
and then that itself was based off like a short story sometime from the 30s. But there, and for some reason, there's always like a like an interesting like plot point with some horror movies where like it's in Antarctica. You have aliens and what's going to happen? Like there's one of the X-Files movies that's like that, or there's it's a short story like At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft, which like the same setting. But going back, yeah, The Thing is one I could return to and watch.
I remember looking at the box art for that, and even that box art and poster for the movie is pretty iconic, right? It is. It's just draws you in.
Yeah, like you have this individual, and then you have like a pretty much like a flash coming from
Right,
like,
from his
their coat.
face or his head, right? Yes.
Yeah, and I what's it called? I enjoy it a lot because it's like there's so many like iconic moments from that movie
Okay.
that like I remember watching for the first time. It like scared the heck out of me, and it still does every now and then. Even though I've seen it like several times.
I got to put that one on my to do and to watch list, I guess, because I've never seen that one. I know Kurt Russell's in it, and I like him as an actor. And this is early '80s, and like you said, the effects are visual and visceral, and they are practical. And I have seen it there. I've seen it on the shelves at different places back in the day with VHS, and I've never seen it though. I've never watched it. So okay, so you highly recommend that one.
Highly recommend that one. One I have not seen, but they did make like a prequel to that one in 2010, 2011. I think it's called The Thing again. But that one's
okay.
like a prequel that happens like right before the events of.
Oh, okay.
The
Send it up.
Yeah.
Send it up. So we talked about your knowledge of horror movies, and even right now during the break, you were talking to one of the staff members here, and you and him just started going off on different movies and different horror movies, and I was like, oh man, okay, I invited the right person to be on the show. I even told the staff member it'd be really cool if the three of us could start a podcast because we seem to just kind of fit in together. So looking at the research question though, and about why we watch these movies, and I'll kind of ask you, what is it about the genre? What is it about horror movies that just interest you?
Boy, that's that was a tough one, but I was thinking about it a little bit more too, like what's like something I like about horror movies? Or why do
Yes.
I? And I think part of it, there's a couple of I guess avenues for this like question. One of it was when I was younger. I remember like around Halloween time, AMC would have like I think it was like movie like Fright Fest, or they will
Yes.
play old scary movies, right? And late at night sometimes they will play like the old like monster movies from the 30s, the I think the Universal monsters.
Yes.
But when I was younger, I would sometimes watch that with my dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like he would work nights, so whenever he would like get back from work, it would be in the morning, and he'll probably have like channel on like around Halloween, and then I remember like, hey, we'll watch like a movie with them a little bit before we get ready for school.
That's awesome.
So I think that's what it started with. It was like with the ones from the 70s, like Halloween.
Okay.
Friday,
Which are still iconic, and they still hold up.
yeah, they're super like they're super great, and I think they're not going to ever going to go away.
No, those are classics and icons within the horror genre, and I think within film itself.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna say it started with that, where so it's almost nostalgic a little bit, where I
That's
remember
awesome.
like during those times, but part of it now I think is like it's like another way to see like maybe a scenario or like a situation or like some type of plot where like you can see on the screen, right? It's scary and it's designed to scare you, but also you're like in a controlled environment where you can see it play out, and like, all right,
Yes.
let me test my my fear a little bit. I'm a anxious person, so sometimes like when I watch like the ones that the genre that scares me is analog horror. So
what
like
is that exactly?
so it's like a found footage, like
Oh, okay.
the Blair
Okay.
Witch Project.
Oh, yes, I remember that was a big thing back in the late '90s.
And VHS is like another series too. But I think why that kind of scares me is I grew up like in the mid 2000s, so VHS was going to DVDs. But
Yes.
like, there's that faint memory of like, oh, VHS tapes, home like movies and things like that. But like, found footage also kind of reminds me of a little bit like almost like epistolary novels, where like
Okay.
it's letters and documents telling a story.
Oh,
This
okay.
is like these type of mediums, VHS or recorded, or like the actions with like, okay, rewind, like
Yes.
flash
Yes.
forward, things like
Uh
that.
huh.
And that so like when I watch that genre, it's scary a little bit, like but it kind of like helps me. Okay, let me test this out. How do I like? Is it like pretty good? They're all great. So like, for example, one movie I actually just recently rewatched the Blair Witch Project, which was from the late '90s, and it's still holds up. It's pretty good.
I
But
remember the
yeah,
marketing campaign for the Blair Witch Project. You didn't know whether it was real. We were not really told that these were actors. So we go into that movie thinking, oh, this is found footage of these three hikers that went missing. And they did a wonderful job of marketing that movie as that, as a lost footage. And we bought it. I mean, I know there's a Blair Witch Project 2,
yeah.
but that is nothing to do with the first one. I think they just used the name and the title. But that first one, yeah, it was a little creepy. I haven't seen it since
It's
its prime.
Yeah, and it's still it holds up too. And I think other movies that like they do a good job of this, where like if that's not like the central focus, but it's a huge part, like Sinister from 2012.
Okay.
That one's by Scott Derrickson. That's another one that uses a lot of like found footage. And then another one I enjoy came out a couple years ago. It's like almost documentary esque
Okay.
type.
Yes. Yes.
Is Late Night with the Devil,
Oh, I never heard of that one.
with David Dastalmachin.
Okay.
Apologies, I think I said his last name wrong, but those ones they incorporate a lot of like found footage, right? So it's like, hey, this happened, this occurred. So it's almost documentary a little bit, and there's a story behind that. So I think like that genre scares me like the most now.
Yeah. Okay. Because again, it just seems a little real, right? It seems like
Yeah,
what happened and what's the story behind the found footage. So yeah, I could see where so many different elements make up the whole genre and the fear that comes with it.
yeah, and so I want to say those two like back to the the original question was I think those are like the two main reasons why I like horror movies. It's like a way to test like what scares you, but also a little bit of nostalgia. So
Oh,
like
yes, I agree. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is a research based show. And so I take their research question and then I start breaking it down. And so I did some research. And according to what I found, and you mentioned it, it is that controlled fear. It is, we're in a movie theater, we're at home, we can be scared because we know it's not going to go beyond that. It's not going to go beyond that room. It's scary at the moment, but it's a controlled fear. It is this experience that we're scared, but we know we're in a safe environment because we're at home, because we are in our bed, because we're in a
yeah.
movie theater with other people. And so it's not until sometimes we get back to our home by ourselves after watching a scary movie at a movie theater, we're like, what's behind that? What's behind the curtain? Or what? I'm not gonna go into the garage right now
Yeah.
because again, it's just that fear. And I think there is this excitement when we're watching a scary movie. We want to know, and sometimes I think as music has evolved into the genre also, and music is such an important element to film, and the build up to some of those scary situations. We know it's coming. We know it's coming. And there it is,
Yeah.
And so I think there's this feeling of, and this release of adrenaline sometimes, and this dopamine. And I've talked about that before, that feeling and this sense of, pleasure, but also fear. And so when we watch a scary movie, or when we just sit at a movie theater with the rest of the groups, it's a shared experience, and we're all going to be scared. We're all going to be fearful. We're all going to kind of laugh together. We're going to get scared together. We're going to do this jump scare. And so I think it's also this emotional release, this opportunity for us to just get away from reality because
Mhm.
sometimes reality is a little more scary than the movies that we're watching.
Yeah, like sometimes it's kind of like, okay, this is like this is like a way like a form of escapism, like
Yes.
where you could, okay, I could leave like what's going on with the world for a couple hours and watch like a scary movie or like a TV show.
Yes.
And yeah, and sound does play like an important part with
Yes, it
music.
does.
So like, especially now, like if you go to theaters and like watch a scary movie, it's loud, but it works really really well compared to like everyone's TV is different. So like maybe the sound won't get you as much, but the visuals will still. So yeah, that's like something I've noticed.
You mentioned the experience and going back to your father, how you guys would watch these movies together. And that's another thing, the novelty and the escapism to be able to, like I said, for those 2 hours, you're going to just take a break from reality and you're going to believe that there is this witch that's attacking or that there's this alien that's going to come down, like the case of The Thing. And so we suspend our disbelief. And there's also, I think, this element of social bonding where we watch these movies together and we know when we buy our ticket to go to the movies, we know what we're going into. We're
Yeah.
going to get those jump scares. We're going to get that, oh my goodness, that happened, or, that, oh my goodness. And I think one of the things that has happened right now is there's this gore that just is
Yeah.
kind of the thing right now, right? This gory, the gorier the better, right?
Yeah, that's what there's a lot of, I think it's leaning more towards gore, where you like, I guess like more like, oh, it's a shock, right? And it's
Yeah,
a horror
shock,
movie,
yes,
so
exactly.
that's what it's designed to do. I feel like suspense and like the tension is more scarier for me, like atmosphere. Like, and for personally for me, right, the gore is one where you're seeing more movies go into. One that I could think of is Talk to Me from 2023. That's another good one.
Talk to me, okay.
But it's not so much like with gore. There's like a lot more of like well, cracks and stuff like that. So
Okay.
it's pretty scary. And then you're seeing some more other movies more with the gore, and I guess that's like a some people like that for horror movies.
Yes.
Which is, it's good, maybe a little bit here and there, but for me, it's always more with like the atmosphere, the tension, the like surprise, and here's
Yes.
that monster, or like there has to be like a reason behind it, more rather than just like for shock and awe. And
Yeah, more substance to it, right?
yeah,
Yes, I agree.
So that's why I always like if it leads up to something, then it's like perfect for like a horror movie.
And it's so
Um,
interesting because you had mentioned that your genre is a particular one. I mean, horror is a genre, but then you have your sub genres within it, right? And it's so interesting what you're talking about because there are so many different ways that you can go. You have the gore, you have the psychological, you have all of the different aliens, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
And I was watching a documentary on Jaws because I think it's celebrating its 50th anniversary. And I think Steven Spielberg has mentioned this before, how so many problems with the shark that they wanted to do more with the shark, but less was more in that situation. And the fact that you knew the shark was out there, but the fact that you couldn't see the shark, and again, because of mechanical issues, it just lent itself to that type. And I think you touched on that right now. There needs to be some substance to it. It's not just shock and awe. And some people like that.
I think, and also it's kind of funny because the thing, it is gory.
Okay.
But there's a reason behind that with the alien, like it's trying to survive. So it's like there's a reason why, okay, this is happening, or they're doing like in the movie they do like a little like a blood test kind of.
Okay.
But there's there has to be like a purpose for it. not just
Exactly.
to,
Yes.
like,
I agree.
yeah. So and Jaws too. That's another good one. Like where it's like it's a suspense is building up to it, and like you seen like up until like the end, like just like little like a few seconds of it, like swimming here and there.
Yes.
So it's funny. In addition to the mechanical failures, filming on water is just hard.
Oh,
it's just
yes.
difficult.
Yeah. And I know people personally that did not want to go back into the ocean or the beach or the Gulf or whatever because of Jaws. We're going to take a music break. This is such a wonderful conversation. I really enjoy having Richard in the studio today. So we're going to go to a music break. And then this is Tubular Bells. And you're going to recognize it as soon as it starts to play, because maybe the title may not mean anything. But as soon as you hear a couple of bars of this song, you're going to know exactly where it's from. And I want to talk to you about that because there is a connection to this song, this movie that just happened for me this past week. So thank you so very much. You're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley Student Station. Thank you so much, everybody, for continuing with Library Talk and everything else. I have Richard Quiroz in the studio today. And Richard, I'm going to tell you, every time I have a guest in the studio, the time just flies by. And it's such a wonderful conversation. We're having such a great time talking about horror movies and talking about fear and talking about why we watch these movies. And I want to mention that if you did not recognize the name of that song, it is Tubular Bells, and it is the theme from The Exorcist. And I want to talk about The Exorcist really quickly because there's a connection to the University Library. I know a tenuous one, but we have a database, a resource within our library collection called Swank, which is a streaming database of different movies. And so last week I was kind of going through it and I wanted to see what movies it had, and had some great Saving Private Ryan, Back to the Future, has some documentaries. But I found The Exorcist and I was thinking, you know what? I saw The Exorcist once in a movie theater in Mexico. People were laughing. People, honestly, it was a nervous laughter, but people were not taking it serious. It was the re-release 30 years later in 2003. So I watched it in a movie theater in Matamoros, Mexico, and people were just laughing. So I really didn't enjoy the experience. And so I remember watching it. It did scare you a little bit. And so we have it as part of our UTRGV's library Swank database. So last week for my lunch, I closed my door. I ate my lunch watching part of The Exorcist in my office. And yeah, it's kind of creepy. So then I ended up watching the rest of it this past weekend at home. And another connection to it is, and you and I were talking about this before the show began, I have a brother-in-law who lives in Washington, D.C. He's in the military, and he's stationed in Washington, D.C., and he was driving around Georgetown, and a majority of the film, if not a lot of the film, was done in Georgetown. And so he sent me a random picture, and he's like, "Do you know what this is?" And I go, "Yes, that is The Exorcist Steps," which is prominent in the movie and integral to the plot of the movie. So yes, that was the connection to The Exorcist. Now we are going to clean our palate with music because that was kind of a hard one to listen to for anybody that does fear that movie, The Exorcist. But I'm going to ask you about that. Have you ever seen that one? And what do you think of that type of movie where, again, you have not so much gore, but just this insane amount of, I don't think it's gore. I don't even know how to describe what happened in that movie.
Just like a like religious horror. And,
religious horror.
yeah,
Yes.
No, it was pretty scary. And I think the first time, I think the first time I remember growing up, and there was Bravo had like 100 scariest moments
Yes.
on like movie history or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And there was a scene from that was The Exorcist, and that scared me as a kid because they had the other ones, and like I think Jaws was number one, but The Exorcist that one scared me like when I was a kid, and so I always stayed clear away from that like movie when I was younger.
Yes.
But actually, I had read the novel first by William P. Blatty.
Yes.
And
I tried the novel. I tried the novel, and I think I got through the first chapter. I'm like, I'm going to put this away. And it's not a very long book. It's not a very long book, but I remember like, you know what? I'm going to hold off on this one.
yeah, and it scared me because I was like, oh man, I think I was a teenager in high school where I got that. I was like, okay, it's pretty scary. The first thing that came to my mind was like Stephen King because I had,
Yes, I'm a big Stephen King fan as well. I had an episode a couple of weeks back on Stephen King.
Cool.
Yes.
I'm gonna check that out after
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
But so that was like the first venture to that, and then I finally watched it back in 2017 or 2018.
Oh,
was
okay, so recently.
yeah. Well, I was a freshman in college, and I was like, I'm just gonna let me just like see it, and it scared me because I love the story. It's there's this type of entity
Yes.
that goes and it's one of possession, and then you have like this pastor that's I think he's having like a bit of a conflict with his faith.
He is. He
Yeah.
actually is beginning to
Question, right?
question, and he even tells a colleague of his, I have lost my faith.
Yeah, and it's a good like story because it's not just the girl who's possessed, but also the one the priest himself. Like he's trying to it's like his journey to trying to see, okay, can I recover my faith? What's going on here? And then he's pretty much in battle with this demon and trying to like perform the exorcist. And I guess I'll give a little bit of a spoiler for this one. At
Yeah, I
the
think
end,
most people have heard of it
yeah.
or have seen it. And again, I just talked about the steps, the
Oh
exorcist
yeah.
steps. So, so I think you're gonna kind of spoil the thing, but it isn't because again, either you're an Exorcist fan, you're gonna watch it because you're interested, or you're not gonna watch it because you're fearful of what you might see.
And what I like that one, what I like about that one a lot is that it's a sacrifice at the end. He makes like an exchange. He'll allow the entity, forgetting the name of it, but like to possess him, and then he
Yes.
sacrifices himself. But for religious horror, that doesn't it scares me. And it's one of not so much like it's funny because I talked about this with my girlfriend, and she doesn't like religious horror too much, but I'm like I'll watch it, like the Late Night with the Devil. But
okay.
what's it called? The Exorcist is one that scared me when I was younger, like because I seen clips of it, and then I had read the book. But as I got older, I was like, okay, let me go back and see this scene or this scene, and this scene, and like this is a really good movie.
It is. I had to rewind a couple of scenes because again, they're practical effects, but they're so well done for 1973. And it's amazing how they film that from the setting to the music to just the atmosphere. It is intense. And also, you mentioned something about that story with the priest, but there's also the other story with the detective trying to solve
right,
a
yeah.
crime. So, again, I saw it in a movie theater in Matamoros, didn't really enjoy it, couldn't really enjoy it, but that's a type of movie that, yes. And I as a researcher, as a librarian, and I think you too, you want to go into that deeper dive. And actually, some of the actors, and I think even Peter Blatty himself has said it's not a horror, it's more of a psychological thriller. I don't agree with that because it is kind of scary.
Some of them can be scary. There are some like thrillers out there that's like, oh man, this is actually more like a scary movie. Like one of them I could think of is Run. That's on I think Hulu, and that one is like it's pretty scary, but that's about like a this like this girl, she's about to go to college, and then she like discovers that like hey like her mom had been giving her medication that like
Oh,
kind
okay.
of like to without her knowledge, and then like she would like keep away like her college acceptance letters, so she's trying to escape. But it's called Run, and that's another movie I definitely recommend.
Never
It's
heard of that one.
It's real good. So.
Yeah. So as we're talking about, and we're going back to that research question about why do we watch it and who's watching horror movies and why do we like to sit in a movie theater and watch them, I want to read an article from a journal that I downloaded from, again, the UTRGV University Libraries Resources, plug. And this is an article from Evolutionary Behavioral Sciences, and the title is Horror, Personality, and Threat Simulation, a survey on the psychology of scary media. This is from volume 14, issue number 3, dated July 2020. And it is kind of a lengthy quote, so let me just read this to you real quick here. Horror entertainment is a thriving and paradoxical industry. Who are the consumers of horror, and why do they seek out frightening media? People with stronger beliefs in the paranormal tend to seek out horror media with supernatural content, whereas those with weaker beliefs in the paranormal gravitate towards horror media with natural content. And you and I were talking about that, suggesting that people seek out horror media with threatening stimuli that they perceive to be plausible. While frightening media may be initially aversive, people high in sensation seeking and intellectual imagination in particular like intellectual stimulation and challenge and expect not just negative but also positive emotions from horror consumption. They brave the initially aversive response to simulate threats and so enter a positive feedback loop by which they attain adaptive mastery, through coping with virtual simulated danger. And again, I think this quote kind of sums up what you and I have been talking about feeling like you want that rush, you want that fear, but again, it's controlled. And you talked about it too, the different genres. Now, do you believe in the paranormal? Then I'm going to watch those type of movies. I don't believe in the paranormal. I'm going to watch this type of movie. So I think this quote is really, it captures a lot of what we've been talking about the content, the type of horror, the type of movies that we want to watch and the type of television, because I know television has a couple of shows that are also really scary. And we're going to talk about that as we come back from the break. We're going to go to another music break and then we'll finish off the show. And again, thank you so much to you, the listener, for allowing us to be with you guys this morning. And thank you, Richard, as well, for being here. I've enjoyed the conversation. I wish we had more time, but we're going to go to a music break and we'll come right back. And again, we're going to clean our palates a little bit. We're going to go with the Monster Mash after listening to Tubular Bells from The Exorcist. We want to soften things up a little bit. Again, you're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Again, wanted to clean our palates a little bit after listening to the theme from The Exorcist. So let's change things up a little bit. Again, thank you so much. You're listening to Library Talk and everything else. And I have Richard Quiroz in the studio. And thank you so much, Richard. You're doing such a wonderful job. Please know that you're welcome to come back anytime to my show and to Library Talk and everything else. I'd love to have you back. Talk about something else.
Thanks so much. This has been pretty fun. So.
It is really great. It is great. So as we were going into the break, we talked about movies and The Exorcist, and I read that quote about why we like to be scared, and I think that quote just kind of encapsulates everything that we've been talking about and discussing in terms of going back to the research question. But television is also producing some scary shows, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out. And it's cool because like they're all like about like an hour long. I want to say for episodes, so it's like a mini movie within like this like broader narrative. Yeah, but there's a lot of like and also mini series too. That's coming out with it's horror or thriller. So yeah, I'm trying to think of someone right off the.
Well, let's go over that. So again, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is research based. So I went online and I found a list of the top 10 scariest TV shows of all time. And this is from slasherfilm.com. so let's take a look at and let me know if you've seen some of these, if you agree with this list. We'll start off with number 10, Twin Peaks: The Return from 2017. Have you seen that one?
So not the Return, and that one's like the sequel from the 1990 series.
1990 series, yes.
I've seen that one, the first two seasons, and that scared me the first time I watched it, because I was actually real quick. I was sick with bronchitis for a little bit, and I actually had like a little bit of brain fog. So this is back in 2020, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be out for a couple of days. Let me just sit down and let me put on something and relax. Okay, Twin Peaks by David Lynch.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, what's going on?
I think anything David Lynch related, right? You're gonna question, what did I just watch?
For sure, because there's a lot of good stuff, but he has a whole catalog out there that it's very interesting, and I love it. So, yeah.
So the next one, and this is Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I know this was on Nickelodeon. This is from 1990 to 2000. It was kind of a children's thing, but there were some scary elements to that too, right?
Yeah. For that one, I was more of a Goosebumps kid.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember watching on Cartoon Network, and that would come out every like Halloween. But I remember hearing Are You Afraid of the Dark? But I think that was a little bit before.
1990. According to this, 1990 to 2000. So I remember just watching the intro, but I don't think I ever watched the show.
That one, and there's also is it not Scary Stories telling the Tales from the Dark
from the Crypt.
From the Crypt.
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt. I remember that one. Yeah, the Crypt Keeper. That's right.
Now I'll go back and like check out like scenes or different like segments from that, and I'm like, this is pretty good. I'm like surprised.
They're well produced, right, for the time.
Well produced for the time. But like it made me wish to look more around instead of not instead, because I like Goosebumps growing up, but also knowing that there's a lot more out there.
Yes.
There's a lot more out there.
The next one is 2018's The Haunting on Hill House.
Yeah. Okay. So my girlfriend and I, we actually watched that one. It was during Christmas or winter. That one's really good. It's a pretty much a ghost story. And that's based off Shirley Jackson's 1959.
Yes, I know that much of that. On a side note, one of my favorite Shirley Jackson's short stories is The Lottery. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah.
That is, you're going to have to come back on the show.
Okay.
The next one on the list is The Walking Dead. I think I've seen maybe season 1 or 2, and then I kind of kind of tapered off of that one.
Yeah, same here. I only watched like it was up into like season 3. It was like where they were at the prison.
Yes.
But the first like few seasons, it's
Yeah, it was really good.
very good. Zombies are like always a fun movie to go back and watch. In addition to The Walking Dead, there's also what's his name? George A. Romero, all his
That's
the
true.
Living Dead
That's
series
true.
too. So
Yes.
if you get a chance out there, go and explore that catalog from George A. Romero.
Well, actually, the next one on the list is Ash versus Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
From 2015 to 2018.
Yeah, that one was on it wasn't Bravo. I'm forgetting the name of the
I don't remember that show. I saw the image for it, and I know it's that Campbell.
yeah, Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell,
So,
that's right.
Yeah, that's another one where he fights the Dead Knights.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what they're called. It's like the paranormal entities that go and they possess and they become zombies. That's another great series too, the Evil Dead series. So that one I only watched a few episodes, but I never like continued with it. I remember a friend of mine had like recommended it to me. So but I want to go back and take a look at those. So.
Stranger Things. I like the 80s aspect to that. I don't know if it was very scary, but it was good. The Outer Limits from 1963 to 1965, and this show is very similar to the Twilight Zone. I actually did a show on the Twilight Zone. I invited another colleague of mine, Mr. John Ferris. He was on the show.
Cool.
We did a show on an episode rather on the Twilight Zone. It was really cool. Midnight Mass from 2021. Are you familiar with that one?
That one is that one came out on Netflix, I want to say.
Okay.
But that one I've heard of it but never seen it. It deals with again a priest, I want to
Okay.
say, and I'm forgetting exactly what happens, but that's one I came across several times but never sat down and watched
Okay.
it.
The next one is Hannibal from 2013 to 2015. I think that might be on Silence of the Lambs related.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter from
Yes.
yeah.
And then number one, I don't know if I agree with this one, the Twilight Zone, because the Twilight Zone, again, I've done an episode on that, and I don't think it's very scary. But one of the ones that I think is missing from this list is what is that show on FX? American Gothic or
American Horror Story?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. So I like I like both series. The Twilight Zone, it can be scary, but there's also themes of like suspense.
Yes,
and
and-
more of a like randomness. What I like
Yes.
about it. Rod Serling does a lot of he did a lot of like great episodes and writing where it's just like these characters are put in this unique situation or they have
Yes.
some type of ability.
And they were mirroring what was happening in society at the time, which
Exactly.
is really impressive to use fantastical stories to do that.
And it's all contained with anthologies.
Yeah,
So,
it's an anthology. So it was never the same episode. It was just a continuous episode from one to the other, and it was always something different. So it
yeah,
was really
just
good.
like American Horror Story, which is different seasons. Each season is its own like series, like its own story. And I feel like Twilight Zone was the first one that did the anthology, and then a lot of like the Outer Limits. Or he also did another one, Rod Serling, called Night Gallery.
Night Gallery.
Yeah,
After the Twilight Zone, I think it's maybe in the 70s.
yeah.
Night Gallery. Okay, so I know we got to get going here. So I'm going to go through some, according to the Internet Movie Database, some top horror movies. And these are top 10 horror movies. The Witch, and you and I were talking about that one. You highly recommend that one, right?
Highly recommend that one.
From
Very-
2015.
2015, very scary, and it is also it takes place during the 1600s and a little bit of religious horror. So.
Oh, okay. And this one I had never heard of, from 1973, Don't Look Now. And I had to kind of give a synopsis of this. A married couple grieving the recent death of their young daughter are in Venice when they encounter two elderly sisters, one of whom is psychic and brings warning from beyond. So I've never heard of that one.
That sounds
1973.
cool. I need to check
Okay,
that
so I'm going to
out.
go down the list here, and these should be familiar to us. Alien is number 8. Halloween number 7 from 1978. 1975's Jaws. We talked about that one. Number 5, The Exorcist from 1973. Okay. Number 4, The Shining from 1980. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, I agree with Texas Chainsaw Massacre
that
from
one's
1974. That still kind of freaks you out, right? I've never seen this one. 1968's Rosemary's Baby.
So that one I have not seen either. It's funny because I remember after watching The Exorcist, I'm like, okay, I gotta check out watch Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, but I've never seen that one.
Same here, but I think that one takes place in New York City. I want to
Yes.
say, but also is another religious horror.
Yeah.
But from the other list too, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was I know I mentioned like I made like a top like 3 or 5.
Uh-huh.
That one's like number 2 because I remember watching that when I was younger. That scared me.
Yes.
But what scared me is like, hey, out in the middle of almost nowhere or like just somewhere else, there's all this craziness going on, and And going on road trips when I was younger with my
Yes.
dad to like San Angelo, right? I will pass. We'll pass by like some old houses or
Yeah,
barns.
gas stations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like wondering, wonder like what happened there.
They have their backstory, right? And according to the Internet Movie Database list, Psycho from 1960 is number one. I asked you what your favorite movie was, scary movie, and mine is between The Conjuring and The Exorcist.
Yes.
I'd have to say those recently. I've enjoyed that series, that universe, right? That they're creating.
The Conjuring
Warner
is
Bros. Yeah.
another good one from 2013.
We're getting ready to close up, but I do want to mention Freak Fest, which is going on tonight from 7 to 10 at the Edinburgh campus, E-Labs, the Black Box Theater, and that's going on tonight. Again, that's Freak Fest tonight from 7 to 10. It's a collection of short stories and short movies, rather, and it's supposed to be a great event this evening. Again, Richard, thank you so much for being here. You're going to have to come back. You have to talk about something else as we get to discover interests that we both have. I really appreciate you being here. Seriously.
Thank you so much. It was a great time. I enjoyed it, and I have some other movies to check out today and tomorrow.
Yes. And speaking of tomorrow, we will be celebrating Halloween. And please be careful. I know the weekend sometimes is... you have to be careful on the weekends to begin with, and then couple that with Halloween tomorrow. So please be careful. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you back next time on Library Talk and everything else, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station.